And we're live. Wednesday, February 26th, 2025. I'm used to saying the year correctly now. Here we are. Another week, another live stream, and I think there's things to talk about. So I'm going to wait for some people to come in. I think I see a thumbs up there in the comments and reactions. If you could, as always, let me know if you can see and also hear me clearly. That would be great. Even if you're not the normal commenter, a person who likes to comment on the live stream, if you could just give me a thumbs up in the chat or something to let me know that you can see and hear me, that would be great. Last week, I was unable to do a weekly live stream, and that was mainly because I was at my kid's school and we were doing photographs of the different sports teams. I kind of alluded to that, I think, in I guess it was last Wednesday's episode. I probably shot it on Tuesday. It was Wednesday's episode, and I talked about kind of this last minute request from the athletic director, who's also a photographer, to go over and do these school photos. So I went and did that, and I just got a couple of photos in. So I just finished shooting the daily drop, which will come out tomorrow, which will kind of talk a little bit about that shoot. So I wasn't the photographer on it, but I brought the vast majority of the equipment, and I go over that in the episode and all of that good stuff. So again, if you're here for the live stream, let me know. I get a thumbs up from David. David, hope you're doing well and you're having fun with that little macro thingamajigger. I think I'm gonna have a drink today. I shot the daily drop. It's been a busy day that started early. And there you go. Watching, well, there's only one episode so far, but watching the new season, season 2 of 1923 with Harrison Ford, Helen Mirren, and some other actors. Enjoying that, I have to say. I enjoyed season 1. I think I'm enjoying season 2, though there's only one episode in. And yeah, if you've seen it, let me know what your thoughts are. And here we are. We're jumping in. I need a little bit of water here. I'm having a little 1792 full proof. Maybe a little too much water went in there. But this stuff is double strength. It's cast strength. Cheers. Always have to take a sip before you put the glass down. That may not be true everywhere. In Texas, I think sometimes they'll hit the glass down on the table and then take a drink, but you get the idea. All right. So, weekly live stream. I think we have some things to talk about. David's packing for a trip that he's going on tomorrow for a film festival. I'm assuming for one of the films you worked on. I don't know how far you're going, but good luck and have fun and have a good time. So I've got the comments and reactions up here, as always, as David is doing, Mr. Carroll. And at the C47 is the best way to just sort of bring a question or a topic to my attention for the live stream, something that we can start to talk about. And that's what we do for the hour. Today's episode of the Daily Drop, while I wait for a meaty, good question from somebody, is YouTube memberships. And I've gotten a few comments on that. I don't know if you really know much about YouTube memberships. I didn't really know much about it until I was invited to be part of this YouTube membership camp. I guess it's Alphabet's way of reaching out to creators who are doing this regularly, whatever it is that they're doing regularly, and finding out if they would be interested in creating membership. Mr. Balcom, are you joining us from the big state known as Texas or from the big state known as Alaska? David knows nothing. You know nothing about what? That's cryptic. So I'm considering YouTube memberships, and what I'm trying to figure out is if there's more than one level or tier, what those tiers would be. I have some ideas about that I'd like to talk out during this. Um, Texas isn't really close to Alaska, though. What do you mean? No, I know you're getting close to going up there. Um, and so I've been kind of talking this out, and I went to another one of these camps, and I have another one-on-one with somebody at YouTube tomorrow, and I'm really trying to sort out for myself, beyond the cute badges and emojis, what would make a lot of sense if I were going to introduce membership to the channel. Because, there's one thing that a lot of people will do who are not posting regular content. That's not me. Um, which is they'll do early access to videos. So they'll produce a video, they'll give their members access to that video a day, a week, whatever it is, before everybody else. Um, so yeah, I have some things to talk about, and I would love to get some of your feedback regarding that. Marshall says, "Howdy, all! Just got home from a 2-day project in New York a couple of days ago, recouping from that and preparing for 2 proposals later this week. 2 proposals is better than 1. 1 proposal is better than none." And I'm glad you're doing that. I'm also working on getting some new projects off the ground. Just pushed the proposal out last week. Um, Working on some other stuff, and also really starting to have real conversations about NAB and what that might look like for the C47 and the content that I'm going to be doing. And I'm pretty sure I know the basic idea, and hopefully by the end of next week I'll really know. But the concept is to create some original content in and around some brands, some new products, things like that. We'll see how it all works out. It's just like any other project. You've kind of got to pitch it, work it out, figure out what the right format is, and go from there. So feel free to just bring up a topic in the chat, because that would be great. And then I think the other things we'll talk about are we'll talk about memberships. Need your help with that. We'll talk about maybe a little bit about NAB. And then it was I would say a somewhat active week when it comes to new announcements. Brandon is here. Speaking of coffee, Brandon, you have no idea. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, let's kind of get into that. So I'm just going to go over to my favorite sort of place for industry news, just to remind myself. So we have the follow-up Mark II to the Panasonic Lumix, the S1R Mark II. Zeiss came out with mirrorless lens versions of their Otis lenses. Sigma, probably the one that's got the most chatter, announced this new Sigma BF and the beautiful Foolishness camera. 6K L-log unibody structure, and I'm just reading I'm the Brown over here in the chiropractor's office. The AC, as well, you're in Florida, so you chose that, is all I'm going to say. So you made the bed you're lying in, and you couldn't. Florida was great when my kids were young, and we would go down and see the grandmas during the winter for that, like 10 to 14 days. And then that's it for me on Florida. I have lots of friends who live in Florida, but it's not for me. So stay warm with your members only jacket over there, and see how that goes. Sigma BF, so unibody design. I don't really think that this camera is designed for video production. Sure, it's 6K, has log, all that, and it can be, but I don't know. I'm just looking at it in terms of pure like I'm investing in the camera for video production, and I think that there are some other cameras out there that you may consider a little bit more. But if you're looking at it purely from a stills standpoint, it could be some pretty cool stuff. And I think Sigma's doing some interesting things. A bunch of new lenses from Sony announced this week. Scott will know about this, firmware updates for the Z/Z8, the Z/Z6 Mark III. Some same as is with the Godox little 30-watt lights. I think that's pretty much it. They've got the Sigma, some deals on the deal zones, but it's not typical in sort of this time in February to have two camera announcements. But CP Plus is happening in Japan, so I think it's probably tied in with that. You'll be filming the Starship Flight 8 live. Oh, cool. And then let me know when you're heading up north. This Alaska thing is tripping me out. I mean, I don't know if it's in that Florida category, Scott, but that's a move. Kind of the opposite kind of move. I'm the Brown says gimmick Sigma camera, cool toy, but limited. Okay. Scott says Nikon starting to put some video centric stuff in their mirrorless bodies. Yep. Marshall says, Brandon's comment about the bugs. This shoots big takeaways were 1, it's time to explore time code options for multi-camera dock projects, and 2, equipment checklists in each case is a must. Yeah, that is a very helpful thing. Time code options, interested to see what you're looking at for that. A lot of it has to do with what cameras you're using, but we are getting to the point now with things like the Tentacle Syncs and the Deity TC1s and their time code solutions that you can buy time code solutions for almost any camera that's out there on the market. So it's pretty easy nowadays to jam sync time code as long as you have the right cable to your camera. So there you go. House is listed, offer coming this week, moving quickly. We should do an offline conversation about this Alaska thing because I am intrigued. I am very interested in that. The new Sigma cam looks to be much more of a lifestyle camera than anything else for paid pro work. I mean, it might be. I think that the imaging on it is going to be great. I think that Sigma's making great lenses. They always have. They're a serious company when it comes to imaging. The question is going to be, what type of adoption are we going to get? How many, people who are in the industry who are either enthusiasts for still digital cameras. And look, the price point is not a Leica price point, right? We're not looking at a $5,000 to $7,500 camera. We're looking at a just under $2,000 camera. But the question is this, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but is this a dentist, doctor, day trader finance camera? Or is it going to be something that people who are, DPs, cinematographers, people who love street photography, whatever it is, are going to invest in? And my feeling is it's probably going to sit, somewhere in between that, but it might be something that's very interesting to, it might be something that's interesting to people who are interested in things like the Fuji, cameras from that standpoint. I just moved for some reason when I start the live stream, I always have the main picture in front of me. The problem with that is I'm staring at myself, which is just ridiculous. So I'm going to put the comments right in front of me, which is the way it should be, and turn this screen to my right down. I think you know how it works in here. And we'll get to that membership thing again in a few minutes. But what do we want to talk about? Yeah, you have my email address, Scott. Maybe we'll hop on the Zooms or whatever we use nowadays. That's what I'm using, and do that. Yes. So, what are the topics? Do we want to talk about new announcements on equipment? Do we want to talk about some upcoming projects? Marshall, your comments have been great in terms of the project you just came off of and some of the takeaways from that. I'm really happy to talk about anything you want to talk about, as long as it's not religion, politics, and most things that are science related. That's not what this channel is all about. I think we focus on what we do, and then food. Food's always, fair game on this channel at least. Um, I should do a membership. This is from Scott. If you don't want to do anything extra, just make it $1.99 a month for letting people support you. Interesting. Okay. Well, Scott, we're going down this rabbit hole then. I think I'm learning some things from this YouTube membership camp. One of the takeaways from the stuff that I've been attending and some of the answers to questions I've been asking is um some people, I guess you're alluding to this, Scott, just want to support the channel, right? And sometimes we'll have a super chat where somebody will drop a couple of dollars, $10, $20, whatever it is, and I really appreciate that. It means that some of the content that I'm creating has some value to you, and so yeah, it's uh, it's a thing. So I was toying with this idea, which I put the kibosh on, which is taking the weekly live stream and making that a member only perk. I don't think I want to take this away from what it is. Though there are a lot of regular people, what I'd like to do is maybe create a members only live stream. And that could be even more focused on things and projects that you're working on. Maybe it becomes something where people send in sample frames from projects they've worked on, things that they're prepping for, and we can actually discuss different ways to approach that project with the understanding of how you work. So that's one thing I was thinking, members only live streams. I don't really love the members only chat. I think that's a little funky in terms of having like one regular chat and then a priority chat on a live stream. I think I'd rather just do a members only one. Um, Maybe some more stuff that's more behind the scenes, but the lift has to be realistic when you're doing this. So if I did something that was like $9.99 a month, where would be the value in terms of that? Um, so that's something I'm really thinking about, and I'd like to get some stuff in there. And DJ's here, and DJ, I got your comments from earlier. I've just been in meetings all day, so we can definitely talk about that. Marshall says, let's just get back to memberships in a second. Time code, I've got sound devices mix pre 2.6. Yep, I have that right there. We're going through it. Blackmagic design cams, so I can just jam time code between them there, but I want to do drift tests to see if tentacle deity options are necessary. Good question. I mean, I think if you're jamming in the morning and you're jamming after lunch, you're probably going to be fine with the solution that you have, I would assume. Um, I can't say definitively, but I've heard the tentacle is a little more solid. I use the deity system, but it seems to be working well in terms of drift, but nothing out of the ordinary. So I think you should do some tests. Um, I like how Brandon's referring to himself, unless you're referring to a different Brandon, as Brandon's studio is almost done, chasing SDI cable and dialing lighting today. Okay, well, good progress. I like it. Scott says, from what I found, if you create a reason for people to send you money on a live stream, super chats will happen. If you put out lots of content and can give extra bits, larger tier memberships work. Yeah. Okay. Um, no problem, DJ. Go do your thing, and thank you for at least dropping by to let us know, and we'll chat some more. Scott says, if you don't want to do anything extra, keep it simple and cheap. Let them support you that way. I have like 5 tiers. I have people on the top tiers and bottom tiers, and oddly, none in the middle. Interesting. Harrison, what up? Yes, I know you're Brandon, but you referred to yourself in the third person, and as a father, I don't recommend that, but that's just a personal thing. Will Minolta ever put out a mirrorless camera? Oh, I don't know. Is Minolta even an entity that's more than, because isn't it Olympus now? Who is kind of owned by the brand is owned by another company, but it's not really Olympus. So I don't know. So I don't know if Minolta's in the same boat, David. You'll have to let me know if you do know. Um, I haven't heard any murmurs, but what I'm interested in is whether or not we are going to see some new things. Let's talk about the science of the religion of politics in the food industry. Perfect. Let's do that. That I could actually probably get on board with. As long as it's anchored in food, then I think I can make my way around those other 3 subjects and kind of make it work. Um, so so this memberships thing, I guess the question is it something people would be interested in? And if I'm going to do live streams that are member only, right now I'm doing this 3 p.m. Wednesdays. It's a time that I make work most of the time. It's also a time that can work for people. I mean, I realize that the majority of the population in the US is east of the Mississippi. And this falls at around 6 p.m. Eastern time. And so it's trying to pick a time that could work. But even if somebody over the pond, somebody who's 8 hours or 9 hours time difference, it would be very late, but it wouldn't be, after midnight. So, yeah, I don't know why David's laughing. Maybe that's on the third person thing. I have no idea. All right, Marshall's coming in. Membership, I think, allow low cost. We support you. Makes sense. 2, don't personally dig the early release stuff. I'm not going to do that anyway. Anything more needs to be pretty particular to the audience and specific, like exclusive live streams while packing or setting up, etc. Copy that. Okay. Yeah, I was thinking about, is it more just Q&A, or is there part of the live stream that's topic based? I think the one thing that I like and don't like about live streams is I'm not seeing everybody and I'm not having live conversations. But I also know that when an audience gets past about 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 people, that chaos ensues, right? People don't remember to mute their mics, and people get distracted, and somebody is doing something and they're on camera and they're looking in the other direction. Um, so that can become difficult, but I do like personal interaction. So maybe this is the balance of that, but maybe I should do a uh, member only live stream and do that either an hour before or hour after the one that I'm doing now. Maybe it's on a completely different day. Scott, thank you so much and appreciate it. And good luck later this week with the filming and also with the house stuff. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. So I still have some questions. And do I do things like clipping on my live streams to kind of broaden the audience? I don't know. I have many questions and I'm considering it. I don't know if it can hurt. Maybe it can. But I think that if I can figure out something that has value to you, then it might make sense. So any feedback on that would be great. Um, what are we going to talk about? Let's get a topic going here. If it has to be food, I'm not going to say no, but it would be great if it was something. Um, it was a joke. Look, David, you never know nowadays, right? Um, these brands like Olympus aren't Olympus, but they are purchased by and become something else. But they're still making cameras. It's not like there isn't a company there. It's just not the company as we knew it prior to. If we know one thing, we know that change is going to happen. So, um, listening to a helicopter outside. I don't think you can hear that. So, what do we got? I was out of power this week. That came back. I'm working on new content here, and I just want to, you know, figure out this membership thing because if I'm going to do it, I'm going to implement it pretty quickly, kind of get it out there, see what happens. It's kind of weird with memberships on YouTube because once you create a tier of membership, if people sign up for that, let's say I create a $4.99 tier and I start to create stuff and put that out there, and 10 people, 50 people, 100 people join, and I'm like, this tier is garbage, it doesn't make any sense or whatever, and you get rid of it, all the members are gone, right? They obviously are still not, they're not paying anymore, but they kind of have to start all over again. So that's one of the reasons that I'm trying to really decide what I'm going to do. I think I am leaning to sort of a low high kind of membership and make sure that there's a real value added, especially at that higher tier. Um, but when I'm doing 5 videos a week and I'm doing the weekly live stream already, it has to be something that adds value to you as community, as a viewer, but also is actually attainable for me. Like I can actually do it on a regular basis and it doesn't become something that doesn't make sense. I'd also love to hear about this 3 p.m. Pacific time. I tend to see the same, we'll call it, you know, 10 to 50 people on this live stream every week. It's not all the same people. We definitely get some new people coming in and commenting and being a part of the live stream. Um, but is this you came back and you added 2 people? I'm the Brown. Hopefully you got a good adjustment and now you're out in the warm, you know, sunny Florida climate. Late February in Florida can be awesome. So what I want to know is this a time that works? Is this a time that completely doesn't work for people? Is there are there magic times that work for people? Like if I did this earlier in the day, would the people who are here on the live stream right now actually be here? Meaning if I did this, I don't know, let's just say at noon as opposed to 3 p.m., which would be obviously noon Pacific time. It would be 2 o'clock in the afternoon Central time. Um, we're not talking about mountain time. And if you're in mountain time, I apologize. And then it would be 3 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern time. Does that make sense? That winds up being 8 o'clock at night in the UK, 9 o'clock for much of mainland Europe. I don't know. Um, yes. And you're only here at the live stream so you don't get fined. I'm tracking. It's a good thing that you understand that. Yes. So Marshall says, I guess to expand on my channel category, daily drop post, it probably makes sense to know the audience balance between students and peers, i.e., are they coming to learn or coming to hang out? Um, that's a good question. When I first read it, I would say that the vast majority are peers, but I don't know if that's true. I hope people come here to learn things. I don't know if they're getting entertained, but there's definitely a component of community here. And so you know, we have a small little island, but it definitely exists. And I think we are of like minds in terms of what we're interested in and what it is that we're doing. Micah says depends on the week. Some Wednesday evenings are great. Others I'm booked. Daytime would be a no go for me. Yeah, I understand that. And I'm tracking with you on that, Marshall. David's coming in. We successfully pulled off a throat stab blood. Oh, give me some feedback on memberships, and all of a sudden we're talking about blood spurts with a syringe and hose on the short I've been camera operating on. Yeah, that would be fun to see. Harrison says, I would say this is a 50-50 group. That's my perception. Yeah, and I think it probably changes depending on what I'm doing. So if I'm doing something about a relatively new piece of equipment or a piece of equipment that people don't have a lot of familiarity with, even if they are a quote unquote peer, then maybe they're in student mode or learning mode. Other times it's to kind of hear maybe my thoughts about a particular subject matter. Um, and I think that's kind of what makes this channel a little bit tricky because I don't have a I don't have a I wouldn't say a topic. I don't have content that has mass appeal, right? It's not that it's tiny. It's not a knitting sweaters for 1/6 scale um you know, uh what are they called? Characters, like the one I have of Bruce Willis and stuff. Um, but it's also not it's not Mr. Beast, right? Or a big fashion channel or something that's broad appeal cooking related. So it does become a little tricky because I don't feel like I'm catering to many different types of people, but I do feel it's that kind of line between colleagues slash peers and people who want to learn. I don't think I'm personally pulling a very young demographic. Um, and I think there's probably a couple of reasons for that. One of them is that when you're younger, generally, not across the boards, um, I was no different. You're kind of like, I'll figure this out. I can learn this myself. And if I'm maybe it's more that you're seeking out aspirational content instead of some of it's inspirational content, but not necessarily like getting into the weeds and actually doing this for a living, right? um yes, you are. You are younger than your dad. At least I hope so. Though, speaking of that, by the way, I knew this guy when I was growing up. We were friends when we were little, like, I'm talking like 8 to 11 years old. And later in life, I found out that he married a woman. They had a child, and his wife was 1 year older than his mother. So the grandmother was younger than the mom. Just saying. A little strange. So in that case, the yeah, the grandma was younger than the mom. Not exactly what you're saying, but still a little strange. Okay, so let's get a topic going because sometimes when we do these weekly live streams, they just sort of like churning and people are asking questions. We're feeding off of them and everything else. And today I feel like we're in a slow burn here. Let's get into this. Harrison says it's fun for me to get to be in both camps. I grew up learning from me. I can't refer to myself in the third person. And my classic content in quotes. Now I get to pretend to know what I'm talking about. Yeah, right. Come on. You know what you're talking about. Yeah. So David says 5 to 7 o'clock Central is okay for me, except on Wednesday. We have a 6 p.m. Discord video production meeting in my filmmaking group. Right. So um, for you, the 5 to 6 works. Is that what you're saying, David? Because you are Central Time. I start at 3, that's 5 for you, and then you go from this live stream to your 6 p.m. Discord. How does that Discord thing work, by the way? Is it video related? Is it like this? Is it a live stream? Or is it just chat based? I'd love to hear more about the format because you have people who are on Patreon, you have people who are on Discord. I have a Discord account, but it's all just been text based with categories and stuff. Um, so tell me a little bit more about that. Marshall says, yeah, I would agree. The audience seems fairly equal, but students would probably pay for opportunities along the lines of complete questions, and peers might look for hangs, spitballing, collabs, etc. Yeah, that's a tough one, Marshall. And I'll say this, which I think I'm saying with pretty good knowledge, with some experience, know-how. Um, the younger people are, the less likely they are to pay for a subscription or a membership or something like that. So I think that that's where that gets a little bit tricky. They have to see huge value added, and have to have shifted their view in terms of watching inspirational and aspirational content as opposed to content that actually teaches them about something. So it gets a little tricky. David, I don't know what the price of memberships will be. I don't think we're talking in like that $25 to $50 a month thing, but I'm kind of toying with that around $10 a month, 15 tops for the top tier, and then maybe there's a less expensive $4.99 or something like that. And as Scott had said earlier on, you do that, lower tier, mid tiers, higher tier. For him personally, he's seeing the low tier and the highest tier working. So I don't know. Yep. Marshall says times. If I'm on set, it's always a no-go, of course. Other than that, I appreciate the excuse to break away for an hour at any time, so I'm not particular. Copy. Is this on? Why is my phone on? Usually turn that off before the little show. Okay, well, we don't have to talk about the membership thing much more. If you have some additional thoughts on it, if you wouldn't mind, jump into today's episode, which is specifically about that topic, and give some feedback on your thoughts related to that. Okay, good. Let's jump into some other stuff. What topics do we want to talk about? Anybody have any upcoming productions that they want to go over? Are any of you considering and trying to make decisions on equipment that you want to buy? Um, all of that stuff is fair game with the live stream for sure. I mean, I spend quite a bit of my time not only researching and learning about and using different types of equipment, but also consulting and doing one-on-ones with people about that kind of stuff. I did something at the end of last week with one of the viewers of this channel, and did a one-on-one with if you go to the c47.com, you can actually schedule a half an hour to go over a particular project. And that's kind of what I'm thinking about, is sort of I say it in the episode, but it's sort of like a middle tier, or a middle kind of idea between the two. It's not the free content, the daily drop, and maybe this live stream. It's not paid one-on-one consulting. It's but it's still more topical, maybe a little more behind the scenes and stuff like that. Harrison says, is Panasonic relevant anymore for video? I'm sad that I think yes. Why do you sad that you think yes? That's what I want to know. Oh, that I think yes, they aren't relevant. Uh, it's a hard call. I mean, they did that thing with the RE look, and they've got this new Mark II camera. Um, I don't know. It's a hard one with Panasonic because I don't necessarily understand their roadmap, right? Lumix as a brand uh, has a pretty good history. I don't really know much about the S1R Mark II, so I don't know what to really think about it yet. I don't know what if you were a Mark One owner or used it, and now you've looked into the Mark II, what are the key features that make it unique? Um, have they improved the AF system to the point where it's at least competing with Canon and hopefully Sony? I don't know. So any thoughts on that would be great. Shoji Productions. What are your thoughts regarding bringing your own equipment versus renting for a remote location shoot? Well, I think before I can answer that, um, if you can give me the short version of what this production might be, then I can give you a sense of that. Um, when you say remote, do you mean remote or do you mean remote? How hard is it going to be for you to access any additional equipment? Is it a one camera, a multi camera? Is powering your equipment a consideration? Are you going to be able to charge batteries? I mean, when I see the word remote as opposed to just on location, so remote location instead of on location, I start to have lots of additional questions. So I think that's what I'd love to know from you is a little more in terms of specifics on that. I'm the Brown says I'm considering doing a reality series. Ooh, maybe 6 episodes covering the guys I play. Oh, I thought you said the guys! Exclamation point. The guys I play basketball on the weekend. My challenge is I like to play more than film. Yeah, well, that's how I kind of feel honestly about cooking. Is I don't really want to be filming cooking because I'm enjoying cooking, and then the idea of having to do that at the same time is challenging. But if you feel passionate about making this reality series, it's going to take a lot of work. um, and my advice would be try to find people to help you actually with the production because are you planning to be a part of it or are you planning to just create it? Are you one of the players? Are you in it? So let me know about that. Any more info? Kind of like with Shoji Productions, I'm the Brown. Give me some more info in terms of what at least the seeds of the creative concept are from you from a production standpoint. Marshall says, struggle point. Business is slow. I'm trying to shift my company into new territory. I understand what that's like, but opportunities keep coming up in the old arena. When does one decide to starve for growth versus get paid? Well, I mean, again, it's kind of like the other two comments, but completely different. I think I need context. I need something that's going to give me some idea of your personal circumstance without getting too personal. But, are you single? Are you supporting other people? Um, do you have a big, nut to cover every month in terms of your costs? Um, I'm assuming based on your comments that you're based in the US, so things like healthcare and all of those things are big considerations. Um, so yeah, I mean, look, it depends also like, business is slow, but you're getting work from your old arena. Do you not like doing that work? That's what I'd be interested in finding out. So again, more data. And I think that's pretty typical of these live streams. It's sort of like ask a question. I might need to clarify or get a little more information, and I hopefully will be able to give you a somewhat informed answer to your question or questions. Thoughts on platforms to sell older gear like KEH or MPB. I'm not familiar. Maybe I am with MPB, but KEH has, from what I understand, a pretty good reputation. I think you can get a little bit more than if you were going to like B&H and selling something used. Um, so I think they're pretty reputable. So yeah. Okay, Shoji's coming in. What I mean by remote is a location that I need to travel to. Okay. Power is available at location, 2 camera interview shoot. Um, so I'll tell you what I do most of the time. And not everybody's going to be able to do that. Um, I tend to travel with as much core kit as I can. And what I mean by that are my cameras, what's powering everything to a degree, um, camera support if I can, but that's a secondary, audio equipment, basically the things that I'm used to using day in and day out, and that I can basically do my own checkout on, right? Because the disadvantage to renting, let's say you go to Lens Rentals and have them ship equipment to the location, unbox everything, set everything up, go through all the menus, get everything to where you need it to be. That's time consuming, right? And if there's, if they didn't do a good checkout and they haven't checked everything, and I'm not talking about Lens Rentals, but just any kind of situation, if you don't have a checkout day or a prep day included in your production, then absolutely try to bring your own gear. Even if you do, I would probably bring my own gear because I know it. I have it set up a certain way. I can get to the place that I need to be with setup and everything much faster. That said, if I'm going on location, what I will very oftentimes do is rent things like my light fixtures, because those will be pretty consistent and there's not a lot of menu diving generally for those. Correlated color temperature, intensity, maybe a little green magenta shift. But I might bring my color meter so I can dial everything in. Tripods, C stands, sandbags or dirt, all of the heavy grip equipment and things like that is the stuff that if I can source it easily and relatively cost effectively at my location, then that's what I'm going to do. So it's kind of a hybrid for me. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to travel with C stands and sandbags and most of the time tripods if you can source good quality ones. That's an iffy one because sometimes you might want to just bring your fluid head and then just rent sticks, you know, instead of bring the whole tripod system. So I think it really just depends. Getting some more info from I'm the Brown, I would just be creating the series. I want to stay off camera unless it's for B-roll on sticks pointing at the court during an actual game. Well, I guess the question for you is, are you going to miss playing? It sounds like yes, but which one is more important to you? If you want to tell that story having to do with this team and you want to create that content, then, save for injuries, you can play basketball anytime. But strike while the iron's hot. I'd say go for it if you're passionate about it. If it's just sort of an idea that's swimming around and you like, that would be cool if I did it. But once you get into it, it's like, hell no, then don't. But it sounds like it could be interesting. Thanks for the feedback on KEH, B&G, Adorama. Yep. There you go. Okay. What else we got? We got 3 questions, and like the last 20 minutes went 10 times faster than the first half an hour. We got about another 10 minutes left. So do we have any other questions? We don't always have to run the whole hour. I'm very willing to, and I can today. But are there any other things that we want to go over? Any other questions? Are we getting into some food or anything? Shoji says, no, it's for use to talk about what we're filming. I don't understand that comment totally. Clarify, David. Um, yeah, no problem on my thoughts on doing a remote shoot. Anytime I go on location, it's a balance. But if I own the equipment and I know the equipment that I own is going to get the job done and get it done well, then I would much rather travel with my stuff because it's ready to go. Um, that's not always possible, and there may be client requests for specific cameras and things like that. They're almost never going to spec out that they want a particular microphone or a particular audio recorder or particular lights. Um, Sometimes they'll say we want to shoot on an RE Alexa or a Red camera. Sometimes they don't know why, but they might. Um, let's see. Oh, here we go. Marshall's giving me info. Here we go. No partner slash kids. Low medium relative cost of living. U.S. I've been in patterns of building buffer for new arena push. A new, yeah. Then force majeure drains it, and it's another year of same old and saving up. Well, I mean, if you have a very clear idea, Marshall, of what arena or area you want to go into, um, is there a way you can do a hybrid of this? Or when you're in a lull and you're not doing something, though it sounds like you're in it and then all of a sudden something comes up again, um, can you spend a week or two working towards this new arena or not? And I don't know if that's a knocking on doors, quote unquote, to get new work, or it's collaborating with people who you want to collaborate with. I mean, there's so many variables here that I think I don't totally have information about, but I would say that I think you should, I think you should, you know, really decide, like maybe there's this idea that, you take 2 months, 3 months and go for it. I don't know. I'd love to get some more info. It's like if all the stuff you're doing right now are producing, you know, lower budget commercial projects or content for, said cable, you know, uh, distribution, or you're doing something that's in a particular area that's in the corporate space having to do with finance. What you want to do is move into more narrative work, or you want to move into this. Um, those can be pretty big leaps, but I guess the question is, are you trying to do this as a freelancer, or are you looking and seeking out a staff or in-house position? Um, yeah. Uh, David commented on Discord above. I don't really, as I said, Shoji Productions, I don't really have any. I have a Discord account that I set up for some stuff I was going back and forth with, consulting with a company a while ago, but it's not something, I don't spend time on Discord. So I don't know the answer to that. I'm sure there are groups related to filmmaking, including the one that David is a part of. But I think he answered that above. Yeah, tough question to handle over live stream, but you're saying things that are absolutely hitting home. Appreciate the insight. Sure, yeah. I mean, look, it's tough. If you're a freelancer, you're a freelancer, so it can be a bit of a sink or swim type of situation. I've been there many times in my life, and I have ideas and things that I want to pursue and areas that I want to move into, and trust me. After I did a series called Gearbox a long, long time ago, the idea of starting up a daily series, I just kept putting it off. And I had so many false starts on content for this channel and sort of ongoing content that it took me a long time to get the daily drop going. And that's not a real moneymaker, but um, it has other benefits. I mean, for me creatively, huge ones, but also just my connection to the industry. And I have for sure, in my opinion, both when I did Gearbox a long time ago and now, uh, you know, have gotten work, I think, because of my continued presence and the things that I'm doing related to creating educationally focused content. So there are other uh, benefits or value adds to, I'm not making crap on whatever you call it, AdSense. No, I'm not. Yeah. All right. Of course, as we are 5 minutes away now the posts are now everybody's waking up, which I like, but spec jobs is always an option. Absolutely. I always say to people, like, if you want to shoot car commercials, get out there with some of your, friends and start shooting some spec car commercials. It might not be easy, but start working towards creating content that is the type of content that you want to create in the future. Um, Sometimes you have to eat a production bill to show future clients. Yep, I agree. Okay. Have cameras in the $2,000 to $4,000 range leveled out in terms of quality technology, or aware of any tech breakthroughs on the horizon? Not aware of anything on the horizon. I'm interested to see where DJI goes in terms of cameras. I hope they do something. I keep saying you know, going into NAB, this would be great. They have the bones of everything. They're already doing it. Are they going to do something that's more traditional but put a DJI spin? They can do it. What's up, JC? Do I ever have meetups in cities you work at or visit? A long time ago, I kind of did that, and I will probably have some sort of meetup at NAB. Um, and I don't have any thoughts on the S1R2 because I mentioned that earlier. I just haven't looked into the camera yet. Look, Panasonic makes great cameras. If they're coming out with a Mark II of this camera and the AF system isn't markedly improved, my personal opinion is it's not a holy grail, but I think that if you're making a camera, especially in the mirrorless space, and you're a company, and I know that the runways and the road, to final product are long, especially with Japanese companies. Um, I think AF has to be a priority in terms of your roadmap, because more and more of us are working in smaller and smaller crews. Sometimes no crews. We are the crew. And then in that case, Brandon, maybe you can refer to yourself in the third person. But I feel like it's such a necessary component to getting work done as a small crew, right? It's just, we're not quite there when it comes to LiDAR systems. Like, just slap any lens on your camera and you're up and running instantaneously. It's still work. Um, but yeah, I think I just think that if that's not part of the camera, I don't know. But yeah, I would definitely be open it. I am also thinking about the possibility of maybe at some point doing a destination filmmakers intensive or video production intensive here in Oregon, and doing something that would be like a week long, which would be in and around this area of the Willamette Valley. Um, and just really getting into, small crew production in a way that's incredibly effective. You're consistently getting good results in terms of the stuff that you're doing, and maybe filling in holes. But, putting that together, it's never taken me less than 6 months to put it together. And it is stressful. And unless you're getting a certain number of people, not too many, because that's not good for education, not too few, because you can't actually cover the costs, then it's tricky. I don't know where the comment for giant softbox for cars is coming from out of left field there, David, but it's true for most of that stuff. Giant softbox. Yeah. Um, let's see. Yes, you are crew. Have you already talked about the new Sigma camera? Yes, I talked about it a little bit earlier on. Um, yeah, agreed on the panty not being as video focused. But, almost every mirrorless camera now is at least a hybrid. I have a um, uh, sorry, I was going to say 5D, which is ridiculous. An R, it's really weird. Hold on. I think I know where I'm tripping up. It's not, there's no D in it, but it's called the R5 Mark II, and it's just always making me trip up and say 5D Mark II. This is an interesting camera. I have it here in house to create some content for Canon. It's kind of this, it's not an R5C, doesn't have the built-in fan the same way, and it's not as video centric. The menus are not their cinema menus, but this camera can do a lot of stuff, and it's kind of interesting to see all of these companies from their entry level full frame offerings to their mid tier to their high tier in the mirrorless, and there's just so many options now that exist. Harrison, you can yell at yourself in the third person all you want. And I talk to myself all the time, So I'm not saying that, when I'm working here by myself, getting stuff done here, that I go, Jem, you're an idiot. It's happened. Or I don't say that. I do. But I just never say it out loud. It's always inside my head. Where or what is the discount coupon for a 60-minute consult? That's a good question. I think 60 minutes is less than 30 on the thing. I don't know. Just go to the C47. I will say this, I'm the Brown. Anybody, and I'll let you know if I'm not available, but anybody can go to the C47.com, right? So you go to the C47.com. We're kind of in the background trying to do an update, simplify the website, not make it as messy, blah, blah, blah. But go to training and consulting on the website, and you will see right there, right under training and consulting, you can do a 15-minute one-on-one for free. So that's the discount. And then you can book either a 30, 60, or 90-minute one-on-one. And I just did this again with somebody who's, a regular on the channel. And they were considering some things related to their career. And they booked a half an hour. Your half an hour is never going to be exact. I'm not counting at 28 minutes, you only have 2 minutes left, but it's not going to be an hour long. But we spent probably about 40 minutes going over everything and talking about, certain things. And I think it was worthwhile to them. At least they told me it was. I just call it a staff meeting. That's funny. All right, go to the Goober George Lindsay Film Festival and enjoy the Discord. I think we're wrapping this thing up. I have my daily drop I have my daily drop shot, but not edited, and I've got to put that together, push it up to the interwebs. That's episode 399, and then tomorrow I get to shoot episode 400 of the daily drop, which I guess is a milestone. I'll keep you up to date on this membership thing. Just keep your eyes out on the channel. I don't think it's going to be by tomorrow or this week, but could definitely be in the next couple of weeks if I can kind of sort that out in my mind. And I appreciate you being a part of this community, engaging, having questions, being interested. Tell your friends, like the videos, and more importantly than anything else, please post comments. That engagement is kind of what keeps it going. I don't get to always answer those questions the day of or immediately, but I do try to do it as regularly as I can. And yeah, there you go. I don't know what else to say. I appreciate it. And I'm going to hit the, what's the button? Now that I put the, See, maybe that's why I have the window in front of me so that when the episode is about to end, I actually know where the finish button is. Do I have it on here? I don't think I have it on here. I could probably add it to my stream deck. In fact, I know I can. All right, everybody, take care. Have a great rest of your week, and have a great weekend. Take care.